Hey everybody, I'm Lisa Babiak, Living Fully Balanced, and this is your balanced lunch break. So every Tuesday at noon, I come on Facebook Live and I share with you some tips to help you balance your life. Because in living fully balanced, and yes, we all can do it, we can all live fully and feel balanced. In this process of living fully balanced, we get to create clarity and increase confidence so that we can take our next step. So that's what we're going to do today. So I hope you join me. So many of my clients, and I have been in this situation more than half my life, let's say, my clients struggle with self-care. Self-care. So when I say those words, self-care, I'd love to know what words come first in mind for you. When you hear the word self-care, what do you think of? Type it in the comments below. If you struggle with self-care, give me a little thumbs up or a heart so I know that we're on the same page. So many people, and women in specific, struggle with self-care. And the struggle isn't in not knowing what to do for self-care. Most of us know what we, quote, should be doing, right? I don't think we need more information on self-care, but we struggle with getting it in. What's that about? What's the first word that comes to your mind when I say self-care? Are you perhaps thinking, that's a little lazy? Or are you thinking, I don't have any time for self-care? Yeah, self-care is good, Lisa, but I don't have time for it. Or are you thinking self-care is selfish? That was mine for most of my life. I thought, thank you for the thumbs up. I thought self-care was selfish. I didn't think it consciously, but every time, self-help, Bob says. Tell me more. Self-care means self-help to you, Bob? What does that mean? You're helping yourself when you take care of yourself? So what's the struggle with self-care? I have a feeling it's not that you don't know what to do. You know what to do, right? We hear it all the time. We hear, go to the spa, get a massage, get your nails done, go take a bubble bath, right? All of those things are fine. And I'm kind of a proponent of bubble baths myself. But I want to talk to you about radical self-care. Radical self-care means you care for yourself first so that you can care for others. You can't pour from an empty vessel, right? You are the vessel. And if you are running on empty, you can't give anymore. And here's why I'm so passionate about the topic of self-care. We all have been born, I believe, with certain gifts and innate abilities that we're designed to share with the world and with others. And if we are drained, if we are empty, if we're exhausted, we can't share that. We can't be our best self. And in order to do that, we've got to take care of this vessel of ours, right? So self-care, what's the first word that comes to your mind when you hear it? Bob said self-help. Any other words come to mind? Because if the words that come to your mind aren't supporting positive self-care, you're probably not engaging in self-care. And that's where I was, right? My word was selfish. Not a good word in my mind. I did not want to be selfish. I wasn't a selfish person. So therefore, if I equated self-care with selfish, I wasn't going to do it. Here's why most of us are not practicing self-care. Like I said, it's not that you don't know you should be, right? Studies are out there. When we practice good self-care, we are happier, we are physically healthier, we reduce our rates of heart attack when we practice self-care, we manage a healthy weight when we practice self-care, We regulate our sleep well when we practice self-care, but we're not doing it. And it's not because we don't want to. It's because we're not in the habit. Honestly, I believe it's as simple as that. Most of us are not in the habit of practicing self-care. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with that. Were you taught growing up to practice self-care? So the habit that I was taught with, right, and you too, was every morning you brush your teeth. So I'm in that habit. I'm now in the habit as an adult of making coffee every day. That's a habit I've gotten into. Self-care, my guess is it's not a habit. So it might be on your to-do list, but it's not happening regularly enough to be a habit. So how do you do that? How do you get into a habit with something that you know you need to do, but also there's this piece of your head that's saying, I don't have time for this. I can't take an hour out of my day and go get a massage. I don't have 45 minutes in my morning to go for a jog or sit on my cushion and meditate. So here's the thing. The benefit of self-care can happen in 20 minutes, even 10 minutes and 10 minutes, or even 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon, 5 minutes in the evening, 5 minutes before bed. 20 minutes in the day to take care of yourself. Think of self-care as a way to refuel yourself, as a way to re-energize, as a way to unwind. Self-care does all of that for you. So I'm saying the word self-care over and over again. You're hearing that you take 20 minutes out of your day to practice it. It needs to be renewing, refueling, re-energizing, and unwinding. What would that look like to you? What's self-care to you? I'd love some ideas. I can come up with a ton of them, by the way. I am the queen of self-care now, but I want you to come up with some ideas. List them, comment below. What are some ideas that you either do now for self-care or you know people doing for self-care? And Bob, I'm going to read your question. You say, winners do the things losers don't like to do. Oh, I love it. Winners do the things that losers don't like to do. Or people are making excuses. Winners don't make excuses, they do, right? So Bob, I bet you've got some self-care things you do regularly. What are they? I'd love to get a list going. So if you're not, let's just say if you're watching this video and it's not live anymore, you can still comment below because I check this out. I check it out regularly. So comment below on what things you either do currently to practice self-care or you know you want to bring into your life. Could it be getting outdoors? 20 minutes of sunshine. That fuels the mood, raises the vitamin D levels. That's self-care. What about decluttering that junk drawer? That's a piece of self-care. I know, that's reframing, but clearing out a place of clutter clears the mind. It makes us feel more in control and calm. That's self-care. What else could you do? Exercise, self-care. Taking the dog for a walk, self-care. Meditating, self-care. Practicing 5 minutes before you get out of bed to think about how you want to set the day, that's taking care of yourself. That's creating the day you want by putting yourself first. Ooh, Bob's got some ideas. Let's read. Right eating, meditation, alone time, party time, financial security. Thank you. Great list to get us going. So I'm hoping you catch that self-care is not the same for every one of us. However, every one of us can create our own unique list of things that fuel us. So glad you guys are on this call. Does reading jazz you? Does going to the movies jazz you? Does writing in your journal and getting your thoughts out of your head onto paper jazz you? Breathing, by the way, is radical self-care. And I don't mean just breathing unconsciously. We all have grown to do that. Do you know when we were babies, we breathed differently than we do now? But our bodies are designed to breathe with our bellies. I don't know if you can see my hands, but belly breathing. But as we grow older and we become a little bit more conscious of our physique, right? We kind of suck in our gut and we breathe up here from our chest and up into our shoulders. That's not healthful or helpful breathing. So intentionally breathing from the belly. Hey, Bob, Shoe Bob, it's good to have you on. Intentional belly breathing is a radical act of self-care. You're consciously in the moment taking care of yourself. So back to the habit of self-care, because that is the one thing I believe is keeping most of us from practicing it. It's not that you don't know what to do, and I have a feeling you want to do something. Right now, in your mind, my goal for you is to decide, what do you want to do today for yourself? And I mean it today, like not in the future or not high in the sky dreams and hopes. I mean today, Tuesday, what can you do for yourself? What can you practice that's self-care? Have it in your mind. Ooh, Bob says abdominal, I can't even pronounce it, abdominal oxygen pursuit. I love it. It fills our body. AOP, so there must be something called that. I'm going to check that out, Bob. If you know more information about that, post it in the comments below or add a link for all of us. That's very cool. So think about one thing. Your takeaway today is to think of one thing you want to do to take care of yourself. 20 minutes or less. And then one way to get in the habit of it is to remind yourself. And a simple, easy reminder is to use, where is it? I'm going to get it for you, is use a rubber band. So this is called an awareness band. I'm wearing mine on my wrist, and I wrote my self-care goal. So I'll tell you what I struggle with, and I wonder if you do too. While I'm working, I'm focused on working, and I rarely get out of my chair. So I work from home. You're seeing my home office. When I work, I just sit and I'm intent, and I don't get up and I don't think about taking care of myself or breathing. My goal for me today is to intentionally breathe. So every 90 minutes, and I'm going to set it on my iPhone, my timer, every 90 minutes, my timer is going to go off. And it's going to remind me to breathe. On my band, I've got the word breathe. All you need to do is get yourself a thick rubber band and a permanent marker. Quite frankly, regular markers aren't going to work. They're going to peel off. Use a Sharpie pen and write your self-care goal here. It's as simple as that. When you look down on your mindfulness band, you see the goal. It reminds you, it reminds me to breathe. What could it remind you of today? What will you write on your mindfulness band? Bob says, learned in acting classes. Awesome. There's so much to learn when you take another class, right? Outside of the class coursework itself. Very cool. You're a learner for life, no doubt, Bob. Thanks for sharing that. So what could you put on your mindfulness band? It's free, it's easy, it's simple. So the fact is that self-care, radical self-care, does not have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be long, but quite frankly, we've got to stop the excuses we're making. Self-care is not selfish. It's not lazy. It's not doing something. It's taking care of the best gift you have to offer. It's critical to do that. So Bob writes smile down. I bet that's what's going on his rubber band. What's going on yours today? I'd love to know. Put it in the comments below. Share this video if you found it helpful with your friends. And if you're struggling with feeling overwhelmed or taken under by all of the stresses that you have going on, if you're having a tough time balancing work, life, family, relationships, kids, if you're overwhelmed, if you're overweight, I've created a free webinar that I'd love for you to watch. It gives you simple yet really profound tools to help you through those things. People who watch the video have increased their energy, they have decreased their stress, and they have clarified their life so that they know what they're doing in their day fuels them and fulfills them. I'd love for you to join that. So after this video, when it's over, I will I'll write the link to that webinar. It's called Grace, Clarity, and Ease. I want you to have the confidence. I want you to take your next best step. You can't do it if you are empty and overwhelmed. Practice self-care. Get back to me. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to know what you think of the mindfulness bands. I will send that link for my free webinar so that you have access to that too. And until next week on Tuesday at noon, I'll return for your Living Fully Balanced lunch break. Until then, this is Lisa Babiak signing off. Have a great day.